Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, it's Matt Bailey here, the branch director for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia. And I'm going to pour a dram of one of my favourite whiskies from August Outturn, cask 63.92, a sweet and tasty treat, a 19-year-old sweet, fruity and mellow whiskey, delightful stuff. But the reason I'm pouring a dram is so I can look through your entries for the July Draw Your Own Bottle Label competition that we ran on socials and in Outturn. So time to crack open the laptop and see what you drew. Okay, going through them, let's have a look at what people have drawn for Draw Your Own Bottle Label, your own society bottle label. Throughout the whole of July, and today's the 1st of August at the time of filming this, by the way, throughout the whole month of July, we ran a competition for members to draw a bottle label, a society bottle label, like with some creative flair, maybe a cask they'd want to see, maybe an absurd code, maybe just some creativity. And that's coming around very differently this time than last time we did this because of AI, because of ChatGPT, because of all the drawing materials that are out there, but also people creatively using hand-drawn in some cases, or Photoshop drawn or Illustrator drawn, which is great to see very different approaches to the exercise, I guess. So going through each one, and I'll throw it up on screen as we go. So let's, in no particular order of when it came in, but let's have a look. Let's start with Jen Hoy. Jen, good to see you. Great to see an entry. Society Cask 157.1, Captain Derwent's Final Charge Single Malt Whiskey. Now, I'm just want to quickly say, I haven't actually seen all of these yet. Adam on our team, who's on leave, by the way, so he won't know that I'm even filming this. But of course, I just want to say that I haven't seen all these. Adam collected them for me. He sent them through to me last night, and now I'm having a look at some of them for the first time. So Society Cask number 157.1, Captain Derwent's Final Charge Single Malt Whiskey. That is cool. I can see the koala. I can see, it looks like a Tassie Devil. Some other marsupials on here. We've got 62.5%. It's pretty beefy proof. And we've got Captain Derwent's Final Charge. It's a very Tassie label, I'll give you that. And I can see koala's got a sort of a blue and white, almost like a sort of a hat on. This is great. I really like this one. This is up there already. It's a strong start. On this video, of course, I'm going to have to allocate a final winner plus some runners up. So here we go. Let's have a look. Luke Davies' entry. Big Code Hunter. So it looks like some sort of Scotsman here with his foot on a big cask. Looks like it's a very unique looking cask you got there. And it's with a Glencairn on top, and he's holding up into the air his credit card to buy some more whiskey, presumably. I like this, Luke. This is very creative. It's missing a couple of things, so just a couple of points deducted for the fact that it probably needs a code, maybe a flavour profile. Anyway, I still like the effort though. Thank you very much. Aaron Davey. Erin's put together Society Cask 53.2812, which she reliably informs me is her birth date. I'm assuming the 28th of December. And it says, Smokin' Christmas in July. I said to Erin on socials, so if you're watching this, Erin, that I'd love to get to 53.2812. I'd love to be at a point where we're like, yeah, we've bottled 2,812 casks from Distillery 53. Wouldn't that be cool? Smokin' Christmas in July. Yeah, I mean, it is a July promo. It's also Smokin' Christmas. I like this. It's going to be a smoky whiskey. It looks like a very festive, Christmassy kind of label. It's actually quite creative, quite bright, and tells you a little bit of everything. But it looks like it has all the flavour profiles in that flower in the middle behind the text, which is very cool. I actually didn't really notice that before just now, but they are the flavour profile colours. So this is getting a high score. I'm going to have to come back to this one, but it's getting a very high score. Should I be doing scorings whilst we do this? Should I be giving something out of 10? You know what, I will. So going back to Jen's for a second. Jen, I'm giving that a solid 7.5 out of 10. Luke, it was good, but it's missing code, it's missing names, it's missing like a flavour profile, but it's quite funny, so I'm giving that a 7. And Aaron, I'm giving that an 8. That's a high watermark so far. Let's go on to the next one. Raven's Paw, 26.136. That is a black rabbit called Raven. That is my rabbit. So it's someone who knows me quite well. One of 256 bottles. Distilled, it says, on the 26th of October, 1984. So this person knows me quite well. And it's a Highland whiskey. It's a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. It's 59.6%. But this person is, of course, Kate Warshall. Kate, thank you for the entry. She got in just in time on this one. It was like last night she sent it through. A very creative label. I think Raven looks magnificent. This is a high watermark to beat for me. It's quite personal, of course, because it speaks to me as well. But it's got flavor profile. It's got the date. It's got an ABV. It's got everything going on for it. So I'm going to give that like an 8.5, 8.59 out of 10. That one. That's fantastic. Amit Patnaik. Now this Amit, love you mate, but this label is freaky, and that's probably what you're going for. I like this. Society Cask 66.6. That's almost already happened, of course, as you know. And it's outturn 1 of 666. Actually, going back for a second, I actually remember when we released 66.66, and people went mad for it because it was all sixes. Anyway, 66.6, I wasn't around when that cask came out, but 6 years aged. So it's a nice, and it's also 66.6% ABV. I don't speak what's going on here, but this is like La Ultima Tentacion de Cristo, if I'm probably saying that wrong. Single malt Scotch whiskey. This is creeping me out, good, well and proper. But I love the art style. I mean, it's kind of like, it reminds me of that sort of like Mexican sort of Day of the Dead sort of art style going on here. I'm sure there's some artistic flair behind this that I'm not quite grasping. I'm giving that a solid 7 out of 10. It's creeping me out appropriately, but it's got a flavor profile strip. It's got a 6 theme, and I think that'll be a tasty whiskey. Let's be honest. A high ABV, young 66 from the peated Highlander. Lovely stuff. Corey Stephen Robertson, Asunder Down Under. Look at this. Cask 148.06, 1 of 200. An 18 years aged single malt Australian whiskey. So someone who's a big fan of the 148s we've put out. Sea brine rosing over a sandless stone shore, an oily and dense coastal breeze scattering the memory of a cherry pie, baking in an antique oven in a cottage miles away. Rich black plums and jars of thick molasses carried in a wicker basket to a gloomy seaside picnic. You've got a cool tasting note. You've got a cool name. I don't think we're ever going to see an 18-year-old out of Distillery 148. They've certainly never going to bottle anything like that either. So, but I'd love to taste something like an 18-year-old from this distillery, especially at 58.5%. It's a respectable proof. It's a fun-looking whiskey. It's a fun label. I'm giving that a solid 8 out of 10 already. Like it's also beautiful artwork. That's like the crashing waves and everything. That's fantastic. Eshan De Silva. Eshan, let's go. Let's have a look. Society Cask 53.341 Sea Breeze. It's a 12-year-old, 56.7. Eshan, you're speaking to my love of classical art a bit here, because it looks like an impressionist sort of painting. It looks like maybe the seaside painted by Renoir or something going on here, which is quite beautiful. It looks like a really nice whiskey. It's missing a flavor profile strip, and you could have thrown a tasting note in the middle there, it would have worked as well. But it's beautiful artwork, so I'm giving that an 8 as well. That's really good. Thank you, Eshan. Franz Schurer. Now, Franz, thank you, Franz, for entering something. This is great. He's gone with really sort of like, I guess, ethereal and stunning sort of landscape as well. Dream a Dram. We haven't got a number or a flavour profile, but it looks like something if that was in one of our clear bottles, like one of our heresy releases, like we've done before, like from Exotic Cargo onwards, or at the moment, Maverick. Don't forget it's Maverick month. That would be kind of label I love to see on one of our Maverick releases, where it doesn't talk so much about the flavour profile. It talks about just like the name and the sense of where it is and what it is. But I like that. I like that it's a good entry as well. I'm giving that a solid 7.5, almost, actually I'll go 8 as well, that one. I love the artwork style. For those who don't know Franz, he's quite an avid photographer. So that could be one of his photos that he's then added some watercolor effect to. I love it. Nicely done, Franz. Thank you very much. James Caden, James! Code Hunter's Folly, 33.140, with a big whirlpool out the front. 25 years aged. It's a very logical label. It's also, I was actually shocked. You've actually got the font right and everything. Like you've got like the Society sort of font pack right correct. You've got 33.140, which would be kind of probably the number we're almost up to actually in our 33s. And 48.6% sounds about right for a 25-year-old whiskey. Of course, let's be honest, if we saw a 25-year-old single cask from Distillery 33, it would almost certainly be a Vault collection or something, wouldn't it? But this is very cool. It's very clean and precise and logical. But I like the art style as well, so nicely done. I'm giving that a solid 8 as well. Richie Wijaya, what do we got here? This is Richie. I love your art style because you've done little art things for us before. we've drawn things in different promos, like the draw your own. I think it was back during mid-COVID sometime. COVID's a blur, who knows? Anyway, what have we got here? We've got sweet, fruity, and mellow. We've got cask first fill bourbon. We've got distilled 2nd of the 3rd, 1996. So it's 27-year-old North Irish region, 51.25 Exotica Rustica. I love this because those older Irish whiskey often carries this lovely, this sense of tropical fruit that you can't really get from other whiskies, I should say, other regions, I should say. And there's something quite beautiful about that. So I'm giving this a solid 8.5 as well, maybe even a 9. That's fantastic. Take these scores with a grain of salt for what it's worth, by the way, folks. I'm just enjoying this. So this next one for the July Show Your Art competition is from Scribbles Tattoos. So Tristan, this is your label submission here, and I've had it cropped poorly before on my screen, but which was this was my mistake. So apologies there, but I can actually see it now fully that I'm looking at the full Instagram post. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks with computers sometimes, isn't it? Scribbles Tattoos. Here's my submission for the SMWS label competition. The theme was the art of making, sharing, tasting whiskey. And I focused on the art of making and loosely sharing whiskey. I like that. With the barley grain, barrel, and ship, I've picked out the themes of the raw ingredients and how they were transported and disseminated back in the day. It's true, everything would have been transported by ship or then later on train, of course, as well. And I like trains. We did a train tasting in Melbourne, I think, in fact, yeah, anyway. The style is of trash polka and maybe a little too strong for most people's tastes. However, I feel this label would definitely work well on a salty, smoky whiskey with a lot of punch. I would agree. Now that I'm seeing the full image of what was submitted, like I said, I had it cropped before and I couldn't see that barley on the bottom, but it makes a lot more sense now. And it is kind of in a tattoo style, which is kind of nice as well. We replied with this is brilliant, and it is. I'm giving this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, take these scores with a grain of salt. But this is, you know, it's a fun one, and I think the coordinates are Edinburgh or the vaults, which is kind of cool. So it looks like all the barley, all the casks, everything going to our home base, maybe even in Leith in Scotland. So that's a solid entry. Thank you so much, Tristan. Really appreciate that. And I think it's a very solid submission. It's definitely a different art style from all the rest as well, which is kind of cool. So let's move on to the next one. And then one of the other mentions, here we go, Suj Pillai, 129.10. Yeah, we haven't seen a 129 in a while. I think we'll probably be up to 1.10 as well. Single malt Scotch whiskey, very fantastically colourful and abstract art. We can see like a face, I can see eye, like a nose and mouth there. I can see like another face beneath it. It's fantastic. It just reminds me of like, it's like one of those surrealist kind of artworks meets sort of Salvador Dali with extra watercolors. I love it. I really love it. The Beast of Loch Ness. Yes, where is Loch Ness? 59.6% ABV, 10 years aged. That'd be a lovely drop as well. I know we have some peat fans in here. I'm not sure about that flavour profile strip though, so that could be, I reckon if it's probably in 2029, it's probably going to be quite peated. So that looks like could be old and dignified, could be a deep rich in dried fruits. Remember, flavour profile is flavour, not necessarily distillery or cask or age or anything like that. They're the ones I've got right now. If I've missed any, of course, please let me know, because you know, we'll see how we go, but I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on these as well as we go through. One more submission for this video is, of course, from Nick Keeble. Nick, thank you so much for this entry. Hashtag art, it says at the bottom, and it's 3 stick figures holding kind of glasses of whiskey, it looks like. They don't have faces or hair, and they don't seem to be in any environment other than just on the label. So I appreciate this submission. I think it's I think it could have used more detail, maybe a name, maybe like a flavour profile, maybe an ABV on the bottle. But then again, simplicity can work. I just feel like it's missing a bit of character, perhaps, and it's literally trying to overanalyze 3 stick figures here that were drawn on Instagram. Nick, I think it's very funny. Thank you very much. I got a good chuckle over that one, even though it's 3 stick figures. Thank you so much, Nick. I think that was the last one I wanted to add in because we were, like I said, that one was just got missed on the submissions, but made it in the last bits there. There was one other one here, actually. I just want to throw one more out here, which was submitted, I think, just after the deadline, so it didn't make the original cut. I'm sorry, but it's fantastic art we got from Jonathan Alterator Gledhill here, and this is Sonata of a Dying Ember, 58.4%. We've got this lovely blue glass behind and blue smoke and smoke whistling out of the glass, and it looks like sort of combination of hand and AI style of drawing, and 8 years aged, Sonata of a Dying Ember. Cool name. That's actually a very cool name for a whiskey. What do we got? I think, like I said, the scoring doesn't really, it isn't a huge part of it, but I think it's going to be something like, that's an 8. That's an 8 out of 10 as well. That's very good. It probably needs like a tasting note or something, but otherwise it's really good. It's really good. It looks appealing. It looks very oaky because there's oak chips surrounding that glass. So Jonathan, thank you very much. But of course, there has to be some winners, so we'll dig into those. So the most creative one, as I said, as we said in Outturn, the most creative wins a bottle of 135.39. Which is called Smoked Scrunch Munch, which was of course, valued at $170. It's a Highland second fill bourbon barrel, heavily peated whiskey. It was our malt of the month for July. So we'll start with the runner-up prizes. What do we got? I'm going to go with, definitely a runner-up's going to Erin Davey. The fact that she's used the flavour profiles as sort of an artwork style here within the flower of the middle of that is really creative, and it makes me want to drink it. It looks like a fun Christmas in July, a smoking Christmas in July. I love it. That's a runner-up. So one tasting pack to you, Erin Davey. Well done. I'm giving another runner-up prize to Corey Stephen Robertson, A Sunder Down Under. You've got everything there. It looks like you've got a cool tasting note. You've got cool art style. I'd love to taste that whiskey, and it's creative. It looks like a society label. So I'm giving that one a runner-up as well. Nicely done, Corey. Ooh, I'm giving another runner-up to Richie Wijaya. Richie, you always smash your art out of the park, so it was going to happen. And I'd love to drink Exotica Rustica, and it looks fantastic and it looks fun. And I think I have to give the award this time because it's in the art style, it's personalised, it's creative. And I like the idea of a rabbit having a glass of whiskey. So, Kate Walshall, you've won a bottle of 135.39. Congratulations, Ravenspaw is a fantastic label. So, thank you so much for all playing along this month. I'm going to give it one more runner-up. I think I'm going to have to give one more runner-up. I think. Ooh, what are we doing? I reckon we'll go with. They're all really good, folks. So I just really appreciate all the entries. You know what? I'm quite a fan of the art style. So 129.10, Suj Pillai, the Beast of Loch Ness. I'll give you a beanie. Thank you so much for playing along in July. Of course, August Outturn is around the corner. I said I'd have a dram whilst doing this. I haven't even had a chance yet because I've been so excited by looking at all this art. I'm going to have one now. But in the meantime, I will see you all in August for some of our videos coming up. I'll see you for Maverick Month. It's our Maverick Month, of course, sharing the goodness of the Maverick release, co-developed with Pip Hills. It's a wonderful whiskey. It's deep, rich in dried fruits. It's a cracker of a whiskey. And of course, check out August Outturn, which launches this Friday, unless you're watching this already. I think that's all from me for now. I'll see you all soon. Slanjava. Bye.